Can anyone overcome the Team Jumbo-Visma dominance this year?
No.
Does Remco Evenepoel's collapse change how you see him as a rider towards future Grand Tours?
No.
Will Jonas Vingegaard and Primoz Roglic allow Sepp Kuss to win La Vuelta?
Yes.
Will Remco Evenepoel win another stage?
Yes.
I've got the spores, the sickness. There's the twins in my brain.
The Eagle hasn't landed yet, but with only 6 stages to go, Sepp Kuss has a real shot at winning this year's Vuelta. Remco Evenepoel is no longer a threat to the Jumbo Bees, and Juan Ayuso has quite a bit of time to make up. If Kuss cracks, the Danish fish packer and the Slovenian ski jumper are ready to swoop up the GC. I am joined again today by 2 domestiques. Welcome, Dietrich and Yves.
Good evening.
Well, the last week we had quite a big guest on the podcast with Sepp Kuss. This week it's just us. Sorry for the new audience who were hoping for another big interview. It's just us this week. How did you guys experience the second week of racing in La Vuelta?
Tough, but interesting. The GC fights were interesting, except for the weekend. And the battle for the stage wins and breaks were quite entertaining as well. So it was an interesting week, a nice week, with some surprises, with some disappointments. But overall, it's a casual second week in a Grand Tour in the Vuelta. So yeah, can't complain.
Peter, what about you?
Some could say that the Vuelta is a bit over now, but I still don't know who's going to win, although there are 3 of the same team on the podium for the moment. So it's still an exciting Vuelta. Juan Ayuso has said that he's going all in. He would rather finish 8th and have tried to win or podium the Vuelta than finish 4th and doing nothing, and that's an amazing mindset, I think.
Definitely. Before we start the stage reviews, I just quickly want to go over the current GC. So in first place, of course, we have Sepp Kuss. Second place, Primoz Roglic at 1 minute 37. Third place, Vingegaard at 1:44. So that makes a Jumbo-Visma 1-2-3. And then Juan Ayuso at 2:37. Enric Mas at 3 minutes and 6. Marc Soler at 3 minutes and 10. Mikel Landa at 4:12. Vlasov at 5:02. De Bruyckx at 5:30. And Almeida at 8:39. Any conclusions that we want to make from that already?
De Bruyckx is
Wanted to say the same.
A diamond. The guy, he smiles when the stage is finished. He smiles when they have to start. He's just enjoying himself on the bike. And I saw an article of him today on the rest day saying he really likes to race in Spain. It feels like racing with the juniors still, just attacking race style, going all out every single day. And he still feels quite fresh, he says. But
some parts are not feeling very fresh from him, I think, because he's suffering quite a bit with the.
Yeah, of course. But it's lovely to see. He's only 20 years old, I think, and the way he has been ridden this Vuelta till now is exceptional. Has been beating his team leader over and over and over again. So yeah, he's a future superstar, maybe. Is he the same age as Ayuso or 1 year younger?
I believe he's the same age.
Younger.
They're both 20 right now, but is there...
Ayuso is end 2002 and De Bruyckx is begin 2003. Same year as me, that's why I know that.
We have someone of the same age as Jonas Vingegaard on the podcast. Interesting.
That's crazy. I still feel so young, and the guys in the top 10 of the Vuelta, it's insane. Like, I know we were talking about it in the Vuelta preview, and I said top 10 and maybe top 5, I think, about him. And then I got some strange looks, but this is like the thing that Uitenbroek does best. He has that amazing fatigue resistance. Like, nobody is going to say I still feel fresh on the second rest day. And the guy, 20 years old, still says I still feel fresh. That's insane.
Definitely. Let's start off with stage 10. It's actually a stage that Uitenbroek probably did the least good in of the GC guys. He lost quite a bit of time there, and that's what's causing his teammate Alexander Vlasov to actually still be ahead of him in the GC, because Vlasov actually rode quite a good TT. Of course, the stage won by Filippo Ganna, who was completely unbeatable on this course. I think in our group, the picks were quite split evenly between Ganna and Evenepoel, but the way that Ganna did that course was just incredible. Like the speed, it was over 56 kilometers.
It was 56 flat, so that's insane. And there is a little hill on the parkour as well. It wasn't a lot, but it was a rhythm breaker. Just had to went down a couple of gears to keep it turning, and he just averaged just 56 k's an hour.
Yeah.
Just let that sink in for a moment. 56 on a bike, 2 legs ahead, and just the head between the arms and push those pedals. Insane.
Definitely. For the rest of the results, it was kind of just a GC day. No other, with the exception for Mattia Cataneo, I think no other TT specialists were really up there. I was quite disappointed by Stefan Bissegger, who only finished 11th at, what was it, 1 minute 19.
He's very bad the last months.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on with him.
I really like him, but he's really not going. He had, I think, Evry Harelbeke. I don't know which classic, but he crashed very hard, broke his hip, I think, came back in Swiss, I think, and since then he's just been struggling. He's one of my favorite riders, and he's also never going on altitude. He's now also worse than he normally is, but I also feel like he's behind on training and innovating and stuff. I think the guy already has a nice palmares, but I think there's a lot left in the guy that's untapped for the moment.
So you say AF Education Easy Post is a team that's not that professional or doesn't have a very professional approach, or is it just Stefan himself who doesn't like to do altitude camps, etc.?
EF isn't the most professional team, but they also definitely aren't the worst. And so, it's.
I mean, their budget is definitely
strange.
One of the lower ends in the World Tour. But still, I think with a talent like Stefan Bissegger, when he came into the World Tour as a TT guy, like, people had really high expectations from him. I think this year they're not really coming out, but well, maybe he just didn't have it in him after 10 days of the Vuelta.
But also before the Vuelta, and the guy, by the way, also has it in him to become a classics rider. Like, he should be able to top 10 Roubaix and stuff like that, but it's just not happening. So strange.
I remember the guy from the Tour de France last year with the opening TT in Denmark, if I recall correctly, with Voders mentioning multiple times they looked at the weather extremely close by and to see when it would rain. And then we're going to put Bissegger early on the start list, so he has a dry road, but then he was a guy who crashed twice or 3 times.
Twice, I think.
So that was it was quite funny actually to know, because Wouters was talking about it for days that Bissegger would take the yellow jersey and everything was planned perfectly with the wind tunnel, etc. Bye after 4 corners.
Amazing new Vittoria tires. Marketing fail.
All right. Well, like I said before, Kian Uiterbroek's lost quite a bit of time here compared to the other GC guys. He came in 2 minutes and 36 or 35 seconds after Filippo Ganna, which I think he lost about 2 minutes and 20 on Remco Evenepoel. Is this something that he'll be able to improve on towards the future and enough so that he can slot in around the other GC guys?
He normally is very good TT rider. For a climber, definitely. So maybe it had to do with his saddle sore. Yeah, sitting on a TT bike already is horrible. And if you're, if you have a saddle sore, it's even more horrible. But 2 minutes, still, that's a lot. Very strange because Kian is a very good time trialist. I think he won a second year junior the Belgium championships time trial against not climbers, like heavy guys, and he blasted them away on the flat. So it's very strange, to be honest.
How is Bora looking at time trials? We saw Vlasov riding an exceptionally strong time trial, but how is Bora approaching the time trial aspect of cycling? We know Jumbo and Ineos is working very much about everything that has to do with aerodynamics. What about Bora?
I really like the performance team of Bora. I think they do a really good job. I also think they in training they get close to the maximum out of riders. Nice TT positions. So I don't think that's the problem. They also are on the shift. They have the good helmets. So don't think it has anything to do with that. But I did see that Uiterbroeks didn't have custom extensions, but that doesn't make up 2 minutes. That's just like a small part.
Yeah. Let's go to stage 11, which is breakaway stage won by Jesus Herrada. And to me, the one thing that stood out about this stage is Geraint Thomas going to the break together with Filippo Ganna and actually not being able to win.
That's a tactical error by Ineos, one of the many. In my opinion, Ganna was the guy they had to go for. When you saw the amount of work he did before the climb, and then the first part of the climb just completely obliterating that front group with only a couple of the riders able to follow the wheels. And it really wasn't
coming
the stage. It wasn't the stage for Thomas because it was flat till the final climb. So everybody was quite fresh at the foot of that climb, and Thomas isn't kind of explosive, not an explosive climber. So stupid choice by Ineos, but that sprint by Herrada was insane. Even the barriers flew away. So
but Ineos easily could have bet on 2 horses, sent Ganna solo before the last climb. G can sit in the wheels if Ganna is up front, he can win. G can sit in the wheels. It's literally the same as when Ganna's riding at the front. If Ganna fails, G can go for it. If Ganna wins, G could even become second. That would be the perfect situation, but they didn't play it out, which is a pity.
Yeah, I just find it very odd to see a Geraint Thomas, who's obviously crashed a couple of times in this Vuelta, but going to the break and not even podiuming. He finished 5th in a sprint. It used to be that Geraint Thomas actually had quite a considerable uphill sprint. That's how he won on Alpe d'Huez, just sprinting away from all the other GC guys. But here, I don't know. It's quite a sad sight to see a little bit, in my opinion.
He will try some more attempts in the last week to get in the break and win a stage, but I fear his legs just aren't there anymore due to the crashes and the bad luck he's had. The morale will be quite low as well. he's a fighter. He probably won't quit. He won't abandon. But I don't see him win a stage.
Should he abandon?
No. Oh,
Peter?
I don't know.
No.
It's like probably his last week of racing this season. Then he's going into the winter. So just take that last week with you and build up towards the next season.
In his podcast, he actually said he did think about abandoning after the second or third crash, but then he thought to himself, well, if I abandon now, I'll have to do the tour of Croatia or something, and I don't want to do that. So he kept on riding.
Legend.
So, is there anything else about this stage that you want to talk about? Because to me, this was kind of a transient stage.
It was
not that much happening.
Quite weird to see the GC group just neutralizing the race on that final ascent. It was like, yeah, there was a tough stage coming up the next days, but it was just like, well, let's just hit here, roll up to the top, and yeah, it was quite weird. I expected a little bit of fireworks. Kian tried, but he just got like 2 seconds, or he was even caught right before the line. So it was quite disappointing.
There's also a very large GC group that got to the line. Not much happening there.
Nope.
All right. Stage 12, we have another sprint stage. This one not won by Caden Groves, but actually Sebastian Molano, who I think we did mention in the preview as one of the better sprinters here. Anything you want to say about this sprint? I don't remember it, to be honest.
Rui Oliveira, the way he did the lead out for Molano, just popping out of the wheel at exactly the right moment. The last man for Groves just couldn't speed up enough to launch a sprint, and Rui Oliveira just flew past the Alpecin train, and Molano just had to finish it off. It was an impressive teamwork, actually. And it was lovely to see after the finish, Molano immediately looking, where is my teammate, where is Oliveira? He was really happy, and he was quite emotional about that win. So, nice winner, deserved win.
Yeah. Also, Oliveira even came in fourth as well. Sort of shows what kind of speed he was taking, and that basically all the other sprinters couldn't pass him either. Great. Well,
Dieter, what's the problem with Alberto?
Positioning. Always has been the problem, always will be the problem.
You said in the Vuelta preview he's gonna clap everyone because he's the fastest, and his best position is 7th, 6th. I don't know. He didn't even smell the podium. So
true. Still convinced he's the fastest. But yeah, if you're not there to sprint, we saw him do a lot of typical Dainese, coming out of position 250 and still getting 5th or something. That's typical like that. He does an amazing sprint, but like you say, for place 10 or something. Yeah. And I also wanted to.
Is it his fault or the team / lead out that isn't strong enough to compete for the win?
Both. Dainese really can't position himself, and the team isn't. Yeah, but the team is also a bit decapitated by crashes. Sean Flynn is doing an amazing job on his own, so props to that guy. But Dainese is shit at positioning. The team doesn't have isn't a good support team for Dainese. Like if you put Dainese in the good old school quick step train, you have a lethal combo. Yeah.
So put him in the middle of Van Aert and Van der Poel, and he's winning it all.
Yeah,
no, it's not true. He won't be able to follow Van Aert's wheel.
That's actually true.
Well, he's a sprinter who really needs to be positioned. You have sprinters who can position themselves, like Van Aert, but he really needs someone to position him. So that's very weak points as a sprinter.
Is that something you can train or improve on towards the future for him?
Yeah, both technical skills to position yourself and a bigger motor like the last 5 minutes that you don't suffer that much, because he also complained about that. Or two things you can train. You can train your technical skills. You can train to get better, so you don't are already dead before the sprint. So you could easily improve that, in my opinion. But DSM is DSM.
To me, it looked a little bit more like a mental thing, like always just guys getting like flying past, and he just sort of gets swamped out, like doesn't try to stop them, like he's not fighting for his place as much. So I consider it more a mental problem.
And then he's doing a stupid dive bomb and he loses 20 or 25 places, and then it's over. Yeah. But it's sad to see because I had a pick. I picked him twice, I think, because Dieter he believed so much in Alberto, but still, that's the reason I'm not at the front of the domestic picks game. Thank you, Dieter. And that's the reason why you lost.
There is still one opportunity left. No, two for sprinters.
Two,
I think.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Sure. All right. Let's go on to stage 13. The Queen stage.
One thing about the previous stage, if Caden Groves didn't shot out of his pedal, he would have easily won.
You know what they say, if your mom was blah blah blah, you wouldn't be born.
No, but like the guy properly shot off his pedal, he even needed some time to find his pedal back. He like flapped twice besides it, and then found his pedal again, started sprinting again, and went like 10 kilometers an hour faster than Milano again. So yeah, obviously was the strongest sprinter in my opinion, but Milano won it fair and square, and Oliveira did an amazing job, like we already said.
Keeping your feet on your pedals is part of sprinting.
Definitely. And positioning yourself is too.
Right. All right, stage 13, the Queen stage, or likely Queen stage of this Vuelta, with about 135 kilometers. I don't have the profile next to me, so I don't know. It was a heavy stage with 4 categorized climbs, finish on top of the Tourmalet. Yes.
Yep.
And the Obisque and the Spandel.
Spandel.
Yeah. Yep. It's definitely a hard climb.
I remember doing that live, and it was the preparation towards the start was already quite tense. All the teams were on the rollers warming up because it was a 4.4 kilometer uphill start, only 5.4%, but doing that with cold legs would completely screw your stage. And like we predicted already, a breakaway didn't get away at the early slopes. And then there was a long descent toward the Obisque, where like besides my beloved Eduardo Sepulveda, nobody tried to get in a breakaway. And then of the Obisque, the field completely went into pieces. And if I recall correctly, Remco already collapsed on Col d'Obisque.
Yep.
Almeida as well.
Yeah, Almeida.
And that's
I think Almeida was the first one I heard that he cracked. But in the end, he kind of stabilized himself. Lenny Martinez also cracked on the Obisque. The first time he managed to come back, but cracked again later on. But of course, the big one, Evenepoel cracked, and I think over the top he already lost a minute and a half. In the descent, they kind of kept that stable, but on the Col de Spandel, it completely exploded, went up to 8 minutes, and then I think the team said, let's pull the plug and go for other goals in the rest of this Vuelta. Later on the Tourmalet, we saw a display from Jumbo-Visma.
insane.
I don't
That-
think I've seen anything like it in recent years on a mountaintop finish. That one leader goes, another tries to go, and they just finish 1, 2, 3 like that.
But that domestique work, especially Heesink did in that
Yeah.
stage, that was extraordinary. He was dropped on the Spandel, if I recall correctly. In the
Mhm.
descent, he came back, and then he rode the whole valley and the first kilometers of the Tourmalet at a fast pace because he cracked the Martinez and others in that leading GC group before pulling off, and then Kelderman finished it off. But in comparison to Heesink, Kelderman, his work at the front was quite a lot less than Heesink. So Heesink is older and he has a lot of experience, but that guy, I don't know the numbers he pushed that stage, but it should be one of his best stages in his career, I think.
Yeah, I think
Geesink's-
I heard. No, go ahead, Dieter.
Geesink's power files on the days he worked really hard are insane. Like 5.5 normalized power per kilo all day. That's like the highest. I have an extension source for Strava, and the highest mark you can get is World Tour, and Geesink gets that every hard day. He's so underrated. I think like people think he's just a domestique. No, he's a very high level domestique. You don't do that as a mad rider. He's a very, very good rider.
I heard some on a Belgian podcast, False Plot. They were saying that Geesink is going to do a 5-minute pull and or 5-second pull and then pull over, and that's his day done. But I think what he showed on stage 13, it's insane. I think he was on the front for 80 kilometers on a 130 kilometer stage.
He
Absolutely
did
insane.
a lot of work. It was, well, kudos to him, really. He's what a domestique has to be within a team like Jumbo. You have right now three leaders who are protected the best way possible. Just imagine you are Jonas, Primoz, and Sepp, and you just had to stay in the wheel of your teammates on the Obisque, on the Spandel, and you hear over the intercom, Almeida dropped, Evenepoel dropped, Lenny Martinez dropped, 80% of the peloton struggling to stay within the time limit, for example, and then you know as a leader of that team you still have some juice left in the legs to attack like Jonas did, and then a couple of kilometers later Kuss says bye, I'm out, and then it's Roglic bye, and the others are just sitting there. Okay, that's it. Jumbo-Visma is too dominant. Too dominant in this field.
What strikes me as well is that with Sepp Kuss now being protected leader as well, they're actually down in Domestique, because normally in every other Grand Tour he would be the final Domestique, but now actually the other Domestiques have to do their job a lot earlier and a lot longer because they can't count on Sepp Kuss as being a Domestique anymore. He actually also needs to be protected. So Jonas Vingegaard wins the stage. Did you want to say something?
Yeah, I just quickly opened Geesink's power file of Tourmalet. 323 watts all day. That's 4.5 watts per kilo for the guy all day. 380 normalized power. That's 5.3 watts per kilo, I think. It doesn't say, but I think it's something like that all day. Yeah, crazy.
The man had a very good day then. All right.
Yeah,
Well,
and then Jonas went for it quite early, I think. 8 Ks or 7.5 Ks to go till the top. But I had a feeling earlier in the stage that, I don't know, it's like Primoz wants to win the Vuelta, but Jonas wants to win it as well. But they both don't want to destroy Kuss because they all want to gift it to him, because after all his domestic work he did in the previous Grand Tours, how lovely would it be that he wins it himself. But then I had the feeling before they started the Tourmalet, it's or Jonas or Primoz who has to attack first if they want to have the protected role within the team. And they didn't really cooperate with each other, those two main leaders within Jumbo-Visma. So I don't know how the team dynamics will play out in the last week. They have a healthy buffer towards fourth Ayuso. But when we're coming into the penultimate stage of this Vuelta, yeah, I don't know. They always say, what is samen winnen? Hashtag samen winnen is their quote. I wonder how happy Primoz will be if Jonas wins. And how happy Jonas will be if Primoz wins.
I think the perfect solution is neither of them wins and Sepp Kuss wins. But yeah, I definitely see that as well.
No one wins.
Yeah, I don't think they'll want that. But of course, Jonas dedicated the stage to the birthday of his daughter that day. So I do think that was perhaps that was said in the bus that morning that Jonas would want to go for a stage win for his daughter's birthday, and that's why he was allowed to go, or that they weren't doing counterattack straight away.
Jonas was the only one who could have pulled off what he pulled off, though. Like, Roglic isn't going to solo from 8Ks out on Tourmalet. And Kuss, I also, maybe. He's in crazy form. Normally, I would say no.
But the stupid spectator, once again, who completely demolishes the momentum of Sepp. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, luckily, Kuss could turn his mechanical motor on for the second time, according to Pinot. So happy his button worked twice, so that's good.
Dieter, hop on DMs, send a message to Jérôme Pinot, and just say the French team have to train a little bit more and a little bit smart, and don't say others are doping mechanically, please.
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
those bikes get checked every day, so it's ridiculous to make accusations like that, but whatever. So yeah, the Jumbo guys finished 1, 2, 3 on this stage and marked their 1, 2, 3 in the GC. Personally, I don't see anyone. I don't see Ayuso taking it from them anymore. Those 1, 2, 3s. I think the order might switch still, but I think that we have our podium.
Ayuso on these, I thought you were talking about the win. It's very tough for Ayuso. A lot of crazy shit is going to need to happen to get that, sadly. But I think there's a fair chance that Ayuso still gets on the podium. Like, I think a little less than a minute on Roglic, behind Roglic and Vingegaard. No, little less than a minute behind Vingegaard and more than a minute behind Roglic, I think. But that's nothing on Angliru, and especially Roglic has the biggest chance to fall off the podium, I think.
I see a lot of people underestimating Roglic, to be honest. The guy was suffering on the Tourmalet. He suffered in other stages as well, but he's able to stick to the main favorites, or even ride away a little bit from Ayuso as well in that Tourmalet stage. Wow. So the guy is not bad, and if Jumbo decides to go for Kuss, they might have to ride a little bit less offensively, which creates maybe a final K attack chance for Roglic. So I don't know. A lot of people are underestimating Roglic, I think. And I like Ayuso as well. The guy is extremely talented. He's very strong. But he just doesn't give me the feeling he has that extra to drop those jumbos.
But Angliru is a different cup of tea than Tourmalet, though. Like, Tourmalet is still a draft climb. For allez, not
I've
it's
done
not
too
that
much.
Oh
I
my
didn't feel
God.
any draft.
there's they are going like the top guys are going 23 kilometers an hour for a big part of the climb. Still a lot of draft. And then Roglic attacks the last kilometer, but that's like Roglic's signature move. Even if the guy's half dead, he can still do that. That's typical for an aerobically cyclist. But on Angliru, that's not a draft climb. That's properly honest. And yeah, Roglic has been stronger as I expected. I have to admit that definitely in the TT, but Ayuso can drop Roglic, I think.
But who's gonna make the race hard towards the Angliru?
UAE, Movistar,
Well,
Bora.
if Movistar does that, they can just bury themselves and not come out of the ground again because Mas isn't strong enough.
And
if you say still first now Carty, then really I'm.
I didn't understand that. What did you say?
If you say AF is gonna make it hard for Carty, who's always pretty strong on Angliru, then we're quitting this chat.
Mas is still has a shot to get on the podium, I think. He's close in time.
61,
he really is close in time.
A little bit less than 1:30 he has to close on Vingegaard.
Jonas Vingegaard. I don't think that's happening.
Come on.
I think
Not
he's
on
gonna
Jonas
lose a
Vingegaard.
1.5.
But Roglic?
No.
So you say Roglic is gonna crack completely?
I don't know where you're
could.
getting
I
this
don't
from, to
say
be
it's.
honest.
I think it could happen. I just think the podium isn't that sure yet.
All right. You want to keep it an open race? That's fine. That's fine.
Let's send a DM to Bostjan on Twitter and mention Dieter is saying Roglic is gonna fade, and then
the guy thinks Roglic is still winning the Vuelta, so let him go in his pink bubble.
But that's still a possibility, though.
I mean, it's possible. He's right now in second place, so it's
Ayuso or Mas getting on the podium isn't possible, but Roglic winning the Vuelta is possible.
It's still a possibility. Kuss breaks. He's never been in this position in the last week of a Grand Tour.
Also possible, yeah.
So, and then Roglic is the first jumbo after Kuss to step up.
Yeah.
So,
and at the end of the third week, it will be the second jumbo after Jonas.
All right. Enough talk about your favorite riders. It's time to talk about my favorite rider again, Remco Evenepoel. He lost 27 minutes in this stage, completely cracked. I personally thought he was sick. Turns out he wasn't. It was just a complete off day, one of which I haven't seen many yet. You mentioned that you won't see him differently as a GC rider towards future Grand Tours. But I think that he does need to be able to figure out what caused this.
Yeah, completely agree with the fact they have to figure out what went wrong in the Tourmalet stage. But I hate seeing the news articles and newspapers the evening of that stage and the morning after. It's actually abuse towards Remco. The guy is only 22 or 23 years old. Yes, he had a bad day. He lost a little bit less than 30 minutes. But the guy, his palmarès is insane. He won a Grand Tour last year. Now he had a bad day and he cracked. In the Giro earlier this year, he was in a very good shape, but COVID got him. So he had to abandon there. Who knows what would have happened if he didn't get infected by COVID. the team has to investigate what went wrong, but does it change my opinion about Remco and the future Tour de France participation? No. If he's in shape and prepares fully towards the Grand Tour, he's able to compete for that win. Everybody is talking about the bad day Remco had, but Pogačar had exactly the same in the Tour due to an injury on the wrist in Liège. But it's the same, and still Remco is completely destroyed in the media, and Pogačar wasn't.
That's the biggest one, I think, what you said, the preparation. Like, the guy trains for short bursts, the Glasgow parkour, you can't, and he tried to change that up to long climbs in 5 weeks, I think. Or not even that. How long was it?
About 3 weeks. 3 or 4 weeks.
Yeah.
3 since the TT.
That's nothing. Like, he also said so himself that he has to think about it in the future. It will be easier if he rides the Tour in a normal year, not with world champs on a crazy place. He can just do the classics, prepare. That's 3 months of preparation before the Tour will be a lot easier. Like, it's just almost impossible to properly prepare a Grand Tour with 2 world championships 3 and 4 weeks before. I think we already said that before the Vuelta. I just think it's that, to be honest. And,
I just don't understand. I have been laughing with Remco as well a lot, but just the banter with the Remco Evenepoel hype train, etc. But the guy is so talented, and still people always find a reason to hate him, to dislike him. He won the rainbow jersey on the road, in the time trial, Liège twice, the Vuelta last year, and still he's not liked. And he worked on his personal attitude towards the media as well. In the first year, he was a little bit of an asshole, let's be honest.
True.
But now he had some media training. And when he talks, he's often right. The team time trial, for example, he was right.
I think it also helps that now he does his own media a little bit as well. You have his own YouTube channel, which he's very open in, and also just a really nice guy. More interviews with alternative media like Lantern Rouge, and then I think the Rainbow Remco show that we have in Belgium on TV, that's also showing him as a really likable guy. But I think what I wanted to go to is his mentality. Like, yes, he cracks here, but the next day he shows what he's all about and says, I might have cracked yesterday, but I'm going to fight back. It's not going to be for GC, but I'm going to take out of this Grand Tour whatever I can get. And he did that perfectly in stage 14. Basically from the gun, trying to get in the breakaway.
I didn't see that stage. I just opened No, there wasn't Domestique Live. I opened Cycling Pro and just saw there were 10 messages, and 7 of them contained Remco Evenepoel trying to get in the break, is in the break, caught. Remco Evenepoel tries again. And then I looked at the results in the evening, and I saw he won 1 minute before Bardet, and the third was 6 minutes and a half behind that. So, yeah, pretty impressive. But as I said, I didn't see the stage, so I don't know how it played out.
Go ahead.
Remco completely rode Bardet to shambles, who isn't too shabby of a rider either. Like, the guy didn't pull on the mountains, but did take little pulls. It definitely wasn't 50-50. Like, for 80-20, I think. And Bardet was completely fucked. He had cramps. Yeah, that's crazy. Evenepoel was so strong from losing 27 minutes to being back in top shape the day after. Yeah. And
Yeah,
amazing mentality.
I think Bardet also said that when he was riding behind Remco, he basically had to push the same watts as if he was riding on the front because of how aero Remco was being and how fast he was accelerating out of every corner. So he basically got drained just from sitting in his wheel. I think that's the story we've heard before from Victor Campenaerts as well in previous races.
Yeah.
But yeah, the stage was a big breakaway day. I think there were 24 guys in the break, and then at about 80 kilometers to go. But then and Remco just went for it, and they basically decided to work together until the last climb and then figure out who was the strongest. I think they definitely did that. Afterwards, Evenepoel went to the bus of DSM to give Bardet a jersey and the trophy for the day. I thought that was a very beautiful moment because I think Remco respects the person that Romain Bardet is a lot. Romain Bardet is a very respectable person in general. So I really appreciate that gesture as well.
Yes, same. When I logged on the X feed, I saw a tweet from your personal account, Bram, about the bidon stuff. Can you explain a little bit what happened?
So in the second to last climb, there was, I think it was 4 to 5 kilometers from the top, but that was out of water. I don't think the DSM cars were behind him yet because the gap was not big enough. But that signaled towards one of the Jumbo-Visma soigneurs to get a bottle, but he stepped back. 100 meters further, there is another Jumbo-Visma soigneur, but that again asks for a bottle, but he also steps back. And that was a little bit of a frustrating moment for me because, I'm a big Bardet fan. I think he deserves massive respect, but then to see like people withholding water from someone who is riding up a big mountain at 30 degrees because it was a very hot day and not getting a bottle. Oh, that just made my blood boil, to be honest. It seemed so inhumane. I know there are reasons why they don't do it. All of their riders still have to come. They don't want to miss the opportunity to be able to give their own riders a bottle. I fully understand that. But at that moment, I was just so angry. Like, he doesn't have any bottles. He's riding up a mountain, 30 degrees. Give the guy some water, please. And yeah, that was my rant.
It's weird because now they didn't give it to him, but we see on multiple occasions soigneurs of different teams are giving it to others. So why not now? As you said, there were 3 soigneurs at a very close range. So how much bottles they can hold? 4, maybe. So 4 times 3 is 12. It's not that difficult math, but I know in a pro peloton, in a team selection, there are 12 riders. So it's still quite weird why they didn't give it to him. I understand it a little bit as well. But
it's a split-second decision for them. They just see suddenly a rider that isn't one of theirs holding their hand, trying to ask for a bottle, and they split-second have to make decision to give or to step back. They've all done the same thing. That means that 2 minutes later, the camera's back on Bardet, and he had a bottle. So it ended up being fine. But it's just, this isn't the first time that this sort of stuff is seen on a camera with Jumbo-Visma soigneurs. It seems to be a thing. But of course, these guys are volunteers. Might not always be the same guys, but it just seems a little bit of a PR issue. It looks so much better if they just give a bottle, and they seem like heroes for giving bottles across teams. But it was an easy win for them, but they failed.
I have to agree on that one, to be honest.
I also want to give a quick shout out to the third rider, our young wolf, Lennart van Eetveld. Third place in a stage in his first Grand Tour. That's amazing. Like after Remco and Bardet, absolutely stunning performance.
While he got sick in the second week, he recovered of that mid-Grand Tour. Then you are pretty talented. I'm not gonna lie.
Plenty more to see from him in the coming week and definitely the coming years. Really good stuff.
And he's a very hard worker. He was on his own on altitude like 2 months for 2 months. Also during the nasal spray thing, he was at his own on altitude. Like the guys has a head of metal. Like he has the right mindset to become a really big one.
That's why he's one of our young wolves. All right, on to stage 15 then. Another breakaway stage, another attack from Remco Evenepoel straight from the gun. He clearly wanted to be in this breakaway again. He did everything he could to do it, and he was in it. But it was a very big break. And in the end, Rui Costa was he the smartest or the strongest?
The
Smartest.
Rui Costa does have a little bit of a reputation for not being the most pleasant rider to be in a breakaway with, because he does have very particular tactics, let's say. But Remco was not strong enough or not recovered enough from his efforts the day before to try and work the win on this stage. But nonetheless, he finished fourth. The podium was Rui Costa, Lennart Kemna, who crashed in the last descent and actually managed to come back due to some questionable tactics from Buitrago and Costa. But sadly didn't manage to win the sprint. But I think Lennart Kemna won a lot of hearts that day as well. First attacking out of a chasing group, getting to that Costa and Buitrago, and then attacking out of it, having a small gap, crashing, and then coming back to them. It was very, very good to see, but sadly, no fairy tale ending.
Maybe he was the strongest in the sprint too, because he went very early, did a very good sprint, but Costa could come out of the wheel, but I think Kemna's sprint wasn't worse than Costa's sprint, so very, very impressive day of Kemna.
Definitely. All right.
And Remco is very strong again because he almost closed the gap on Group 1 at the end and did like a sprint of 500 meters and nobody came over him.
Yeah, some people were starting to compare a little bit to the Amstel Gold Race with Mathieu van der Poel bringing everyone back and then going for the sprint. It just didn't happen, but he came very close. He closed a 30-second gap up to 2 seconds, so almost. All right, for the last week, what are your expectations?
Ayuso up the podium.
To be expected.
Sepp Kuss taking his first and only Grand Tour win.
And only. That's an interesting addition.
And only.
All right. Well,
and Evenepoel takes the KOM jersey home.
Yeah, I do think that's become a very big goal of him now. I'm also interested to see if he'll want to go for the points jersey, or if he can limit himself to the KOM jersey. Let's see how greedy he is.
Grove still has 73 points in advantage with 2 sprint stages remaining. So I think Groves is quite safe if he's able to podium those sprint stages.
Yeah, but I think that Evenepoel closed like 60 points in 2 stages.
Yeah, I know. If he's gonna take an extra rest day tomorrow, and then on Angliru he will be in the break probably. So yeah, probably. I think the point jersey is for Groves.
Good. That's
Solo.
good for our domestique picks.
Solo win in Madrid for Evenepoel, and it's possible. Just has to do that. That's the only thing.
I have one last question before we end this podcast. Dieter, how was it to record the first podcast topless?
Very cool.
All of our audience on the audio version is now asking, wait, what?
Now they're going onto YouTube and they want to see Dieter topless, but he's a little bit shy.
I'm positioned well. You can only see my head.
That's what you say. All right. Well, only a week to go left in this Vuelta, and it's going to be a cracker. But that's a wrap for today's Domestique Cycling Podcast. A big thank you to our audience for tuning in. If you enjoyed the episode, consider supporting us on Ko-Fi. And if you're on YouTube, hit subscribe and turn on notifications. We appreciate your support and look forward to seeing you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
I've got the spores, the sickness. There's be twins in my brain.